Hi guys, hi, hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. I know it's been a while that I've been here, but I first had a rethink about coming back here, but I had to think about it. God just really impressed in my heart to share this with us, and I think it's long overdue already. Right, so I would be sharing my experience on how God decided not to heal me. I know it sounds funny, but I mean, that was how the whole experience turned out for me, or that was sort of something that I just held on in my heart for quite a while, or just a short while, not really a long time, but I had that thought for a minute, and I just thought, I'm sure that there are other people out there who feel like God has decided not to heal them. So how about I share my story? So in August 2022, right, I had sort of like an injury under my leg. It wasn't really an injury, it was just a pain, a slight pain, right, under my leg. And I just felt like, under my foot, my right foot, and I just thought that, it was just one of those things. So I took painkillers, took Panadol, paracetamol in Nigeria. That's what we take when we sort of feel pain and everything. It's like our go-to drug. So I mean, after I took it for like a month, not really a month, but like I think 2 weeks rather, and I saw that nothing was improving, I sent a message to my friend Naomi to say that I was feeling an excruciating pain under my leg because it was getting really bad. What should I do and everything? And she was like, yo, that kind of thing has happened to me before. She's a nurse, right? So she's always like my go-to person when I have anything else related. She's like, take pain reliefs and everything, give me medications and things to take. I'm like, all right, I'll take it. So I took it for about a month. That was September. Nothing happened. There was no improvement. So I just winged October because I had a lot of things to do. So I just felt like, again, it was one of those things. It was going to go. It was really painful. There are times that I would pause to cry. I wouldn't be able to wear shoes. I wouldn't be able to wear footwears. It was really, really painful. Right. But again, I'm like, what happened that would result to something else? But I'm like, it will still go. I just believed. I kept praying, spoke to my babe, we were always praying. At some point, before we even say good morning, his first question to me would be, how are you? How is your leg? Like, how are you? How's your leg? That went on for days. That was like our conversation starter every single day. Became really painful. In October, I decided, you know what, let me just go to the hospital, let me know what's going on. I went to the hospital. The doctor said the same thing, take pain reliefs, gave me another medication. I took it all the while I was praying and hoping to God for a miracle, that one day it just stop paining me, right, and I'll be able to give testimony and say God did it. I kept praying. It was really, really serious. I'm not even going to lie, right? So I would sort of like attach a picture to my leg around this time, so people would have been seeing the pictures. It was very small at first, but later it became really big. It started expanding. So that was what took me to the hospital. I got to the hospital the first month, which was October. The doctor gave me pain relief. I took it for a month, 4 weeks. I came back and I'm like, guy, this drug you gave me is not working, right? What's going on? What's happening? And they transferred me to another doctor. This time the doctor had to bring about 2 more doctors because this was a different situation. They had never seen something like this before. It was a special case according to them, right? So when it came together, they said I had to take another set of pain reliefs, that maybe that one wasn't strong enough, so they gave me stronger ones. So in the month of November, I spent it taking that drug religiously. Anybody who knows me knows that I don't like drug. I don't fall sick, right? So you hardly catch me with drugs, or you hardly catch me with medications to say, oh, I'm taking it morning, night. But this one, I did it, right? I was religious about it to make sure I ate, all right, so that the drugs will, work and everything. So I took it for the whole of November, and there was still no difference. At this time, I was becoming really scared because the pain was getting more painful. Like, in my life, I've never felt that much pain before. I've never felt that much pain before, whether emotionally or this one was physical. Like, I could not walk. I started to limp. It was really bad because on some days I would want to do things that I like to do, like travel, move around and everything, but I could not do that. So I could not really do the things that I love to do anymore. On the days that I was sure, I have to like be really careful, extra careful, put it off at intervals, you understand? And my convocation was coming. It was supposed to be an exciting day, supposed to be an exciting time for celebration, but I was one leg in, like, into the hospital and out. I was going to the hospital and coming out almost every single day. And then my convocation was coming, you know. At the same time, you know, what really just helped me in all of this time was that I don't know where I found, this was like my perfect understanding, or when I began to understand perfectly what it means to have peace and joy beyond understanding. I didn't know where it came from, but I know that in those moments I wasn't sad. There was no time I got depressed. It was painful. There are times I would cry. I mean, one day I just went to my mom's place and I just cried in her arms. I cried really loud. Like, I cried really loud. The kind of tears that you know that I was pained. I cried really loud. My mom was so sad. Everybody in the house wasn't really happy. My mom could not sleep because she was just like, God, Diola has never been sick before. Like, being this sick. Anytime she's even sick, I don't even get to know, right? She just take care of herself and that's all. But this one is really painful. What's going on? You know, when you are sick, but you, like, nobody knows what's happening. Even the doctors don't understand what's happening, right? Because they're like, it's not supposed to be that. I mean, it's just an injury, right? So that day passed, my convocation came. I tried as much as possible, put myself together, did my photo shoot, lovely photo shoot. If you're not following me on social media, you really should. You see a lot of pictures I posted. It was an exciting time. I had fun with my friends. After the photo shoot, the next day towards the ceremony, everybody was really happy. But even in those times, I had to be putting off my shoe, like, at intervals. And the thing about me is that when I'm going through something, or when I'm going through a certain pain, you have to like be really, really close to me for you to know. So for me to share this is really out of my comfort zone, right? But I thought about it. If I always share my wins, if I always share things that happen to me and that make me happy, how about I also let you share in the things that happen to me that are really unpleasant, right? And this was part of it. So in December, I went back, after I was done with the drugs, the powerful drugs according to the doctor in November. I went back to the hospital in December. So I went to meet the doctor, and this time she's like, you might have to do a scan. So I'm like, okay, this is getting serious, because for me to do a scan, it means that probably there's something there and everything. I started to get scared again, right? But I went for the scan because, to be honest, I wanted to know what was inside. Like, I wanted to just, at some point I felt like if I could remove the leg, I know it sounds crazy, but that was how much the pain was. There are times that I'll call my babe and be like, babe, what if they say they want to remove my leg? Will you still love me with my one leg? It was so crazy and dramatic because it was really painful. For someone that is a really lively person, outgoing, I'm an extrovert, I love to be around people, going through a pain that will restrict my movement was so painful. And then the devil sort of started to feed me with things around, what if they remove your leg, what if this one, what if, I mean, all your plans to take over nations, what happens to all the plans that God has for you, what happens to the things that God has promised you. You see all those prophecies are a lie. God, there's nothing that the devil didn't tell me in this moment. And I remember one day crying to God, right? I was praying and I was crying to God and saying that why would God make me go through this pain? Like, why? If you know that you have a lot of really amazing plans for me, both of us have already agreed that we're going to take over nations, we're going to take the gospel of Christ to nations, but suddenly I'm having this excruciating pain in my leg. Is this the leg that I'm going to use to go to nations? I had a lot of questions. I was so angry. I wasn't feeling good at all. I'm going to like be really honest. I felt like God was being unfair because within the time that I had this pain, I would pray for people and they would be healed, right? I'll share the gospel and people would be saved. I was doing a lot of really amazing things for God. So I felt like it was, if healing, if healing is my inheritance, even scripture says that healing is the children's bread. So me, I'm like, you should heal me. Like, you should not have any other choice than to heal me. So why are you doing this to me? I felt really betrayed. I felt betrayed. So it felt like a cycle of something has happened before. I don't know. I just felt like, and there are times that I'll pray about the leg and be like, God, I need you to heal me, because my friends were also praying for me. My babe was praying for me. My mom was praying for me. Everybody was praying for me. My mom would randomly come to my room and put anointing oil on my head to say, hey, this girl, you're healed. There's no... At some point, my mommy thought it was a spiritual attack. I'm not even lying, because it was so painful. It was so bad that nobody knew what was going on. I was just angry. And God just told me something in the midst of my tears, in the midst of praying, in the midst of complaining, in the midst of grumbling, and said, Adiola, what if you had just one leg? Would you still serve me? And for a moment, I really cried. I wept, because I now started to see that I was hoping to God for healing, right? But on the other hand, I think that I was also selfish. I also felt entitled, right? But do you feel entitled to something that is your inheritance? That was my question. But I now realize that you can get to a point where you feel like you're doing so much for God, and it means that God has to definitely show up for you, however you want it to be. Yes, God will show up for you, but can you let him do it his own way? So all those times, I was just pained. I was, when God said that, I just doubled my work rate with God. I increased my intimacy with God. Like, I just increased. It was like when the king in Babylon told them to increase the fire in the furnace. I increased the fire in my life. I made sure that I was more intimate with God. My relationship with God skyrocketed. I attended camp retreats and really amazing meetings like the Reboot Camp, Young Ministers Retreat, that really just poured my faith in God, right? I doubled all the things I was supposed to do in my various expressions. I began to do them even more, because that question just really struck me. And I just remembered that. I just realized that if I had one leg, true, will I serve God, right? So why is the leg an impediment to taking over nations and everything? So in December, I went to do the scan, because he said I had to come back the next week to do the scan. I went to do the scan, and then they realized that I had an epidermal cyst, according to the doctor, right? So it's like a skin infection where there are bacteria and stuff. There's bacteria and stuff inside. So I went back to the doctor that told me to go and do a scan, and said, this is the result of the scan. Me hoping that she's going to give me a drug or something. Wait, let me even tell you. So when I went to do the scan, the person I was supposed to do the scan was doing the scan, and she saw something in my leg. She didn't understand what it was. So I had to go out of the room to wait for an expert doctor to come. Things started to heat up. I was getting so scared. That what's going on? Why do they need an expert doctor to come and see the leg? Then suddenly the doctor comes to tell me that, oh, the expert doctor is not around, I have to come back. And I just broke down in tears and started to tell the doctor, I can't do this anymore. I can remember, I can still picture it. I was on the corridor of the hospital, and I just started crying. I said, Ma, I can't do this anymore. I've been carrying this pain for almost 5 months. I can't do it again. This doctor has to come here today, and I'm going to wait. I don't care what it's going to take. So I waited, and then she later came after waiting for hours. Meanwhile, all this while I've been going to the hospital, I've been spending hours. So anytime I go to the hospital, I'm always there from like morning till night, because before they will answer me, it takes a lot, right? So the doctor came, they did the scan, and I went back to my own doctor. Then when I got to my doctor, hoping that she was going to give me a drug or something, she now says, you are going to have to do a surgery. And I'm like, hold up, what does that even mean? Like, I have to do a surgery? So I just calmed down, and I said, okay, if that's what it's going to take for this thing to go, I'm going to do it. So she wrote a letter to the surgeon, telling them I had to do a surgery and everything. Referred me to plastic surgery. So I got there. Before I could get to see the doctor again was another struggle, something I don't even want to. So I went into the new year with the pain. Although I was praying to God, I was praying to God in December. I went for a boot camp. I was in so much pain at boot camp. I had to wear Crocs all through. So, like, if you saw me at a boot camp and you saw me with Crocs, I had to wear Crocs all through boot camp because the pain was a lot. That was the only thing I could wear at the time, right? Every other slippers or footwear was making me uncomfortable, so I had to wear Crocs. I got to YMR as well. At YMR, I had to wear Crocs. I did every single thing except prayer walk because I couldn't walk for a long while. All this while too, I had so much limitations, to be honest, because anybody watching this video that really knows me will say, how come Della was going through all these things and she was still doing a lot at the time? I had so many limitations, trust me. I could not walk for long, so it meant that anywhere I was going to, no matter how close it was, I had to take bike or take a ride. That was what it was for me, right? I could not just go to just about any place. Even when I went to those retreats, a lot of my babe's mom, my mom, everybody was just so scared for me, but they just prayed and supported me because I'm like, I had to go. This pain was not going to be a limitation for me not to go to this meeting. So I went to a boot camp in Faith. I went to YMR in Faith, and my experience in YMR was amazing, right? And when it came to the impartition time, you know, that time you'll be praying to God, that God, please just take this thing away. I prayed to God and I said, before the end of December, I wanted this pain to go, right? I wanted this pain to go. So I prayed during YMR. I saw people come out and say they had diseases and illnesses that were like 20 months old, 30 months old, 30 years old, 20 years old. So remember, I'm like, if someone has been blind for 20 years or been a stammerer for 20 years, what is a foot pain that you cannot heal? I had so much faith, guys. I'm not even going to, like, I believe so strongly. I know so strongly that faith was not the problem. I had so much faith. Like, I feel like even the woman with the issue of blood did not have as much faith as I did. Like, I had so much faith. I knew that God could do it. I've seen God do a lot of really amazing things in my life. God has his track record of helping me, doing really good. I mean, I can't start to mention all those things, but I had so much faith. Right? But nothing happened. So at different points at YMR, I want to be downcast. I'll just remember that, see, whatever happens, God is with me and everything, and I'll move again. I left YMR with the pain. The devil now started to minister to me. I like to say things like, look at you, after all your time in YMR, look at you, came back empty-handed, nothing, no healing to show for it. Like, look at you, so you do, with all the things that you do for God, with all the things you be saying, nothing to show for it. There's nothing the devil did not see. But me, I know my God. And my scripture says that those that know their God, they shall do exploits. They shall be strong and will do exploits. And the Lord gave me strength. Guys, the Lord gave me strength, so much strength. I went into the new year with the leg. I mean, if you saw me in all those times, you don't know anything was wrong with me, except you just realize that they're like, you're limping, what's going on? Just a couple of people asked me that, but I'm sure that some people would have noticed and maybe not said anything. But just a couple of people knew, because you hardly even find me limping. Before I start to limp, I'll go to my house immediately. I'll leave that place. I'll go and find somewhere to sit down because I didn't want to start limping. Right? And this was months of crying, tears. I would go out to places and I will have to wear shoes because there's some places I can't go to and wear Crocs, right? I'll have to wear shoes for maybe the event or something. When I come back to my house, I will go and cry because I will be in so much pain. God. I went through so much pain. I'll be in so much pain. I'll go back to my house. I'll cry. I would not be able to go out the next day. There was a time I couldn't go out for like 3 days because I had stressed the leg a day before, and I didn't have a choice because I could not be staying at home. I had a lot of things to do. I will go out and come back and I will cry. one day I went out and I came back home and I just went to my mom again. I just stood up, was tired. That if they want to remove the leg, they should just remove the leg. That this pain is getting so much and everything. And it was really limiting me. I had to do a lot of things in my business, for myself. I already planned I was going to go to Lagos. I was going to do a lot of things, but I mean, I couldn't. So I just had to stay back. Sometimes I won't be able to go to the shop, and then when I come back next day, people will be asking me questions that I have to start saying one thing or the other. People around my shop, they are very, very caring people. So if you're not around, I've not been around for like this week, and they've called me to say what's going on. I've not seen you in the shop. And these are really elderly people, so they will call me and say, I've not seen in the shop, what's going on. So in January, beginning of January, I went to the hospital to schedule the surgery. They checked it and they said, okay, you have to do this surgery on the 16th of January. So I'm hoping that we're able to insert video and pictures in this video, right? So you should be able to see when I got into the... I'm also going to post a video on Instagram. So maybe after watching this video, you want to check Instagram, I might have posted it there. So I went into the place. They scheduled it, right? So after the schedule, within that time I had to do a lot of tests again, which meant going to the hospital, spending days in the hospital to do the test, right? Because, and again, my leg was paining me. I had to be moving up and down. And I'm super grateful for my mom. I'm super grateful for my mom and my dad. They're just so caring. They are so caring, honestly. My dad had just come back. He was on leave, right? He was on leave, and so he was at home. And he didn't know that was an expense that we didn't plan for. But as I was asking him, he was giving me, because at the time as well, I wasn't really working. So except for my coaching and coaching programs that I had and my shop, which I'm not allowed to spend the money, my dad was just funding all those things. He was funding it. I was asking him, I want to do a test, and so how much he funded everything that I needed. To the last day that I visited the hospital, he was just so supportive. He could not be there physically because he had a lot of things to do. My mom was there. My mom was there. She was there helping me every day. I had to go. There are times that I would have spent a lot of time in the hospital, and I would just be like fed up. She would just come and take over from where I stopped and help me do all the processing, picking up my results, to the day that I had to do the x-ray. So on the day of the surgery came, and I didn't know what to feel, but I came back to that place where I was now like, God. So like, I went to the surgery still feeling like I might not have to do the surgery. In fact, I told my friends, I'm like, I'm hoping I don't have to do the surgery. But I went there. Sorry that I'm tearing up. But I went there feeling like I might not have to do the surgery. A miracle is going to happen and everything. So, but I didn't know how to feel. I'm like, whether the surgery happens or not, I know that God is faithful. I know that God is with me. So my prayer changed from, God, please take this pain away, to, God, please help me endure the pain. Because I was just imagining Jesus Christ having to pray to God for God to take the cup over him, and then it's like, if it's your will, let your will be done, right? And then he's on the cross already calling on God, and that was me. I felt like I was already on the cross about to be nailed. And I just had to call on God. And I remember that all through I was in the surgery room. Before I entered the surgery room, I was so excited. I tried as much as possible not to be scared. My friends were really scared. In fact, when they called me, Uju especially, when she called me, she was like, the way she was sounding, I'm like, stop it now. It's me that is doing the surgery. Why are you sounding so? You're even scaring me with the way you're sounding. She sounded so somehow. She was not happy. A lot of my friends were not happy. Shout out to Esther as well. Really supportive people. See, people should have friends in this life. So they called me and told me everything will be okay, don't worry, we'll run this. So me, I was excited. Even before I entered the surgery room, I still applied sunscreen. We got glow in this surgery room. So I changed to my surgery. I changed to the dress, wore the surgical cap, my nose mask as well. I'm going to put a picture here. Nose mask as well. I was good to go, guys. So I entered the surgery room. It was a lot of pain. Another level of pain. I'm not even going to lie. This was another level of pain. I wasn't anticipating it. Especially when they were looking for my vein. They were looking for my vein and they pierced my hand. Deep God. I felt so much pain. And then they wanted to make the leg numb because they had to cut out a part of my leg. They had to cut out a part of my foot. Right under my foot. They had to cut it out, so they had to make the place numb, which meant that they had to give me a lot of injection around the place, and they gave me about 9-10. I couldn't even count because at some point I could not feel it again. It was getting really numb and my leg was getting heavy, so I couldn't feel it. They now had to they had to open it up, you know, and remove the bacteria. There was still pus there. They had to remove it. But I don't pray for that kind of pain for my enemy. I don't pray that kind of pain for even the devil himself. Even the devil himself. Because it was just a lot. It was just a lot. I'm never going to lie. And right there in the theater, I was praying, I was crying from the pain and from God, you should have healed me. God, you could have healed me. Like, I'm sure the nurses and the doctors there would have been looking at me that, what's wrong with you? What's the pain that you are really screaming this much? But they would not have understood. I cried with a mix of pain from the injury and pain from the fact that I just felt like God could have healed me. I didn't have to go through this pain. It was something God could do. But what I learned from all these processes is that, number one, God is faithful. God is faithful and God is always there. It might look like at that time, it looked to me like I was going through so much on my own, but I saw God's strength carry me through. Nobody would have known that anything was happening to me. And in fact, I'm giving this testimony now on YouTube, wherever you're going to see this, because I'm sure that a lot of people didn't know about this. And I've just been feeling nudging my spirit to share this. You wouldn't have known anything was happening to me. God gave me supernatural strength. He gave me supernatural peace. And he gave me so much joy. So much joy. God, it was funny enough, my happiest moment. I had my best wins in those times. I did really amazing stuff. I took steps on a lot of instructions that God has given me. And remember, God had given me rather. And I remember that I had to increase my work rate with God. I studied more, I prayed more, not because I wanted the pain to go, but because I now had to move closer to God, despite the impediment I thought I had. God was faithful. God was there. God just really pampered me, helped me. He saw me through, right? So I didn't feel alone at any point. Another thing I learned was that a lot of times we box God into, a certain way we think he should show up. And God just shows you, like, I'm not always like that. So sometimes we see God and we're like, were you not the one that healed the leper? Were you not the one that healed the blind man? Were you not the one that healed the woman with the issue of blood? Why can't you heal this one? So we box God into showing up. But what I realized is that in that moment, God was just really showing me how strong I can be. God was showing me how much devotion I could have to him, whatever the circumstance may be, whatever the limitation. It was in this time that we launched our ministry course at my ministry, the Waterside Ministry. We launched our ministry course, right? My mentorship program started in December. I did my convocation. I had my best blessings. Like a lot of things, really good things were happening to me in that moment, right? And it just taught me a lot. Sometimes you want God to show up a certain way, but trust me, it's not always like that. It's not always like that, right? So he would show up, but maybe not in the way you want it. So why not just calm down and hold on? God is right there in the midst of it. He also taught me that sometimes the presence of peace and joy is not the absence of trials and tribulations. No, the fact that you feel so peaceful, you feel so joyous. You see people, they look so peaceful, they look so joyous. It doesn't mean they don't have trials and tribulations happening in their lives. It just feels like that. It just means that they've found something more trustworthy. They found something more convincing to hold on to, which is the strength that we have in God, which is the joy that we have in His salvation that Jesus Christ has given to us. And that's just so much. It's just so comforting. That was so comforting for me, because the fact that I had Jesus, the fact that I had God, and I felt like even though I would fall, even though I would fail, even if it means taking away my leg, God was with me. I was in the middle of God's purpose. That was enough for me. That was just enough for me. It was hard, it was painful, but it was enough for me. The fact that I just knew that God was with me, He had not left me, we are together in this, He was holding me, He was helping me. Now I'm getting better, I'm recovering, my leg is still all bandaged and stuff, but I'm getting better. I'm not able to move as much, right? So I've been like under house arrest for like a week, right? But I know that God is with me. I know that God is with me. He has never left me, didn't leave me at any point, and it's not now that He will start to leave me. I just really learned so much. Trust me, I just really learned so much. Don't box God. Your miracle is coming, right? He's going to do really amazing things for you, and it's going to blow your mind. It might not look like it now. Hold on to God for that healing. That healing might not come, right? It might not come immediately, but it'll come, right? Through the blessings of people. God is going to help you. And while all of these things, this rock bottom was going on, I was watching The Chosen, where I saw that one of the disciples of Jesus he had an issue with one leg. So he was limping and using his staff to walk. And it was in a moment where I was going through all this, that was when I knew that God was in it. God was with me. It was called Little James. If you watch The Chosen, you really should watch it if you haven't. The Chosen is season 3. Right, Little James, Jesus Christ had just divided the disciples into 2 and told them to go out, heal the sick, deliver people of demons, preach the gospel of Him, and every single thing, that that scriptures has commissioned us to do. He told them, heal the sick, do miracles. Miracles will be wrought by your hand. Literally, you heal people, the lame will walk. And this was Little James with just one leg, limping like me at the time. Right, I'm still limping, but not so bad. But I mean, Little James was using a staff. Thankfully, I didn't have to use a staff. I didn't have to use crutches. I was already good with limping on standing with one leg. That when they did the surgery, I didn't have to use crutches. Right, so Little James told Jesus, went to meet Jesus after I had spoken to the disciples, and said, all these things you are saying, I understand it too. But how do you expect me to go and heal people when I'm not even healed? My own leg is there. And this was me. It happened. Immediately that scene just showed, I just dropped my phone and I just cried a little much more, because that was me. I met God and I said, how will you tell me to keep on doing ministry? How will you tell me to keep on healing people? How will you tell me to keep sharing your gospel? And this is me with one leg. So I'll go to the hospital, literally. I'm going to go and meet doctor for my leg, but the Holy Spirit is nudging me to preach to the next person beside me that everything will be okay. And I'm like, if I tell that person everything will be okay and I preach to them, won't they be looking at me that, see you, your own leg is there, and you're telling me everything will be okay? But yeah, we should tell ourselves that everything will be okay. But in the midst of it, God just showed me. And then Jesus Christ's response to Little James was that God wants to show His glory through you, and you need to allow Him, right? It might not look like you're going to, I could heal you right now. It's not going to cost me anything. That's what Jesus Christ said. It's not going to cost me anything. I'll heal you right now, but it will not be as interesting or as sweet as when you also go out and do the same to people in your own impediment as you think that it is. It won't sound good. It won't. And I just saw it because I'm like, this would not have sounded good. This scene would not have been really good if that didn't show for me. I needed that to strengthen my faith. Right? I needed that to show me that even though I wasn't 100% there, I could make other people 100%. And I saw it in my life, right? I could make everybody 100%. I could heal them, I'll pray for them and they'll be whole again. But for me, I still had that leg there. it's not that God could not have healed me at that time. He could, but I mean, it sounds sweeter now that I'm saying it. It just strengthened my faith. It just made me see that God could actually show forth his glory through me. Right. On the night of the surgery, that's one night that I would never forget in my life. Yeah. After the surgery, I got home. My foot was still numb, but I didn't know what was coming. At midnight, I woke up and it was the worst pain of my life. God, it was so painful. I had to rush out from my room. How I got to my mom's room, I don't even know. But I got to my mom's room and I was shouting. I was crying. My mom had to wake up. We were praying. I was shouting. As I was shouting Jesus, she shouting Holy Spirit. We were shouting different things. And she was just praying. At some point, we were tired of praying. We just started crying. Like we were both crying together. My mom and I were crying because it was so much pain. It was so much pain. I had to call my friends to start praying because I was done. It felt like somebody was now tearing my leg because it was numb all the while, so the numbness now had gone. I was now feeling the pain of the wound, the actual wound. When they remove a part of your leg or your foot, that that was going to be a lot. So I was crying. I wanted to open the wound and see what was going on. I was so tired. From midnight to like 2. I had to distract myself. I was praying, I played music, I was praying, listening to Victor Arenze, praying, crying, God. My mom was just so tired. God bless that woman. God bless that woman. The next day, babe came. He was with me all through, helping me, supporting me. He was my errand boy, literally, because I could not do anything on my own. I could not move from my room, so there were times he had to carry me to do some things. He would carry me, he would help me, cook for me. In my parents' house, he would cook for me because my mom still had to go to work. My dad had to go out. Sometimes my mom would go and look for drugs for me. My dad would go out, so it was just both of us at home. We cook, would make sure I was okay. At intervals, I'll just stand up and shout because my leg would be paining me. I'll just be shouting. It was so painful, honestly. I don't prefer it for anybody, but this is me, right? I just thank God that the enemy didn't tamper with my mental health at the time. I was so convinced about the person of God. I was so convinced about what God was doing with me. So it wasn't going to shake me. Well, here am I giving this testimony and saying that God is faithful. God can be trusted. Whatever it is that you're trusting God for, just hang in there. It's going to come through. It might not come through the way you want it, but definitely it's going to come through. And you see the glory of God shine forth in your life. Thank you for watching my YouTube video. If you are new here, please subscribe so that you get my consequent videos. I'm going to be making more videos. And yeah, I rate my makeup. I just decided to do makeup today in a different way and it looks really amazing to me. So rate it. Bye. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Pray for me. Encourage me. I need all the encouragement I can get. I need all the prayers I can get for quick recovery. I'm hoping that I'll get better really soon because I need to move again. I need to move again. But somebody who is always there, it's always very hard for me to stay in a place. So my mom puts me under in-house arrest for 20 days. She's saying 30 days to go, but I'm hoping that I don't have 13 days to go. Right? But pray for me. Stand with me. Thank you so much. Bye.